Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Anniversaire de Historique for race 8 of 9 from the Croix A circuit. It's a long one, it's a tough one, it's going to be a painful one by the end of it. Let's take a look at the current championship standings. Mitch has the opportunity to win the championship today. He's leading the way on 124 points, 15 ahead of SGP on 109. Steve F1 is still in with a chance, but he'd need a good result here today to carry that fight on. Demon R's in 4th on 101 with Conrad 30 points behind him, although Conrad's points were a little wrong there. They'll be adjusted after the race, and he's ahead of Fluffy, David Harp and Jason in the top 8. Twilight sits in 9th on 43 points ahead of Rich Blues on 37. Bunsel in 11th place on 30 points, one ahead of Formula Gary, who's got a 5-point gap to Jimmy. And then we've got Tyler and SRI who can't make the race today, and then Art Pal on in 16th place on 1 point. And then we've got Hay in 17th place, still on -4 after the penalty a couple of races ago. Okay, let's see how the qualifying result is going to play out here. A long track, very easy to make mistakes and very difficult to get on pole position, but Steve F1 has done it again with a 2:43.450, and he's joined on the front row this time by Demon R on a 2:43.845, so brilliant lap time from Steve F1 there. On row 2 sees the championship rivals go head to head. SGP, he needs to hunt down Mitch, but he's ahead of him, so yeah, get your head around that one. On row 3 we'll see Conrad line up alongside Dave the Harp. It will be interesting to see how those two get on with their different tyre strategies. On row 4 we'll see Twilight line up alongside Jimmy, see Twilight's time or 2:47.580, 3/10 ahead of Jimmy in P8. On row 5 we will have Formula Gary, P9 on 2:48.221. He'll line up alongside Art Pal, who's taking part in only his second race and his first race on a wheel today. Row 6 we'll see Bunsel line up alongside Rich Blues. Rich Blues literally had no practice, internet issues coming into this race, so literally his first laps were in qualifying, and Fluffy, no idea where the track goes, so P13 for him. A few drivers unable to make today's race. Jason, Tyler, SRI, Hay, all unavailable today, so a bit of a shame for them. Okay, it's time to head over to the track, to the commentators and the action. And joining me on commentary this week, it's Raymond. How are you, Ray?
How's yourself, buddy?
I'm absolutely fantastic. And also joining us, it's Steve. How are you, Steve?
I'm great, thank you. Look forward to another great race around St. Croix.
Well, we can hope it's going to be a great race, but we know that I'm here, so there's going to be some dodgy jokes at some point. I can also tell you that I can't speak properly. So yeah, there's 3 of us on commentary here today as the drivers are getting ready to start at St. Croix, and Steve F1 on pole position as the lights go out and away they go. It's a long circuit, it's a tricky circuit, it's a high-speed circuit with some 90-degree slope corners. It's also a race that Ray, I don't think, has any idea of what's going to happen.
No, I don't have any clue.
Well, we'll see if you do in 50 minutes time.
Is this not the same kind of track where I went from 14th to 2nd? And
it's the same location, different layout. I'll tell you who's looking like he's about to be on the move, and that's Mitch. He's all over the back of SGP. And just to mention as well, if I've not really done it on the build-up to the video, Mitch has the opportunity of winning the championship here today. If he can outscore SGP by 5 points, then he will be the champion, as long as there's no penalties. Steve F1 though, not quite in the championship fight at the moment, but pole position and leading the race at the moment as Demon R is closing in on him through a tricky left-hander into an awkward right-hander, which I believe, well, not this one but the next one, is a corner that some people struggle on, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know who you might be on about there, yeah. Certain Steve might not like it, but he seems to have done okay through there this time, and Demon R is on a mission as well in the slipstream. So could we have a challenge for the lead?
Well, this is definitely an overtaking position on the track as Demon R is right under the rear wing of Steve F1. Pops out to have a look. It's a fast corner though. Oh, they're going to go side by side. Yes, they are. They're going to go side by side. But that's going to allow SGP and Mitch to catch in on them. Oh, this is fantastic. Into the hairpin. I thought we were 3 wide for a moment. So Demon R was going for, well, I don't know if he was going for an overtake, but what he is now, he's dropping places.
Yeah.
And you go, sorry.
Side by side for the lead. That's just punched everybody up. Under the bridge,
I can't do too big breathes in when 2 people get really close to smashing the bridge there. But yeah, SGP and Mitch look like they're making their way past Demon R. Also want to mention it is right after the bridge, not left like last week. Hopefully Fluffy will remember that. Mitch though, right under SGP's rear wing as we go through probably the best corner on the track. A 4-piece apex, long, flat out right-hander.
Yeah, and then look at these battling 4 drivers. They've allowed Steve F1 a break into the distance. So yeah, he's breaking away, and Mitch is now on the back of his chief rival SGP.
That he is. Conrad closing in on the back of Demon R as well. Oh, Demon R's into the barrier. I think we may see a few people doing that today. It is possible. Mitch making the move on SGP into turn 1. Raymond.
Oh, yeah. Is he going to get it done? Let's see. Oh, yeah, he's got it done nice and easy. That looked. Yeah, what the hell. So this will add to the championship points that he needs.
Steve F1 has opened up that gap as Steve mentioned. Demon R now all over the back of SGP. Conrod's still there, and interestingly as well, David Harper at the head of the train, but not dropping away too far at the moment, still within touching distance. If these 4 battle, I can see that 6th down will really close in. Conrad having a look up the inside of Demon R. I think he may have got a little bit out of shape then. Demon R, I think, may have seen him coming and manages to just about cover him off.
Yeah, a few bad corners for Demon R. He was challenging for the lead a moment ago, and now he's having to fend off Connor for 4th, so that's not really worked out for him after such a strong qualifying. So yeah, he's got it all to do.
That he has. Conrad taking an interesting line through the left-handers there, trying to maximise the circuit. Oh, Demon R's run a little wider, so is Conrad. Ooh, it's so easy to spin it if you dip a wheel there. The problem is, Ray, you may not know, you dip a wheel in the grass there and it compromises you through the next right-hander and then all the way down this long straight. So it is the worst place to make a mistake.
Yeah, especially with the dirty tyres going on, and you need the grip going round the corners. So yeah, I could see how that would happen. Who have we got here? We've got Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it may have been Art Pal just tagged the wall though. It may look like Jimmy. Jimmy and Art Pal's liveries is a little bit similar. They're both sporting a bit of black and a bit of gold.
We'll try be gold.
I'm saying nothing. Bling bling.
Spandu ballots.
Hey, be careful talking about songs, right? Because I was reading a story today about a builder who was gobsmacked about.
Richard's trying to make a move.
It's not happening. Yeah, about a builder who was gobsmacked about seeing Elvis in B&Q. He told the local newspaper, "You returned asunder." Boom boom. Right. Oh, that's it. Talk about the racing instead. Yeah, cheers, thanks.
Yeah, that's the best. It's the best. Rich Blues, yeah, he didn't have the opportunity to practice for this one with internet issues, but he's had a good start here. He's making a few moves up to 8th place. So yeah, good start from him. He's ahead of Twilight.
He's not doing too bad there. Up to 8th, and not a lot of practice, or no practice really. Twilight's still there right behind him as they're closing in on Dave the Harp into turn 1. Oh, Rich taking a lot of the green stuff there.
Is that track limits there?
Well, he's definitely not gained an advantage, has he, from going off track there.
Yeah, he's actually lost ground, but his good mate Jimmy's now going off the road as well, but he's managed to hang on to it. And now Twilight's looking to recover as well, having a run at Rich Blues here.
It's an interesting section of the track here where with these 90-degree corners, it's kind of, if you're attacking to one, you could be attacked into the next one. So it's kind of like following is probably the best way to go. Although I don't think we're... Okay, how'd you follow Rich?
Where did Rich go?
Some magic trick that was. It's a bit of smoke.
Well,
I think his internet issues might have resurfaced there, unfortunately. He's just appeared off the timings now as well.
It's just occurred to me as well that Ray had absolutely no idea that was going to happen.
Where's he gone?
He's disconnected, unfortunately, as Rich.
He returned to sender.
He did, yeah. He's down at B&Q. Either that or his sat-nav went wrong and he ended up in Wicks instead. Okay, what we got now there, David Arp still ahead of the pack in 6th place, just ahead of Art Pal and Jimmy. David Harp's in an interesting situation. Oh, Jimmy making a move up the inside into the hairpin. May have just tagged the side of Twilight. Yes, he has. He looks, Twilight spinning around. Oh, get your Kylies going.
Tricky corner, that one. It's limited on traction out of that hairpin, so it's so easy to do what Twilight just did and just light the rears up and spin around. We might see a few people doing that today.
Yeah, you could do. Interestingly, while that's been going off, Mitch is closing in on Steve F1, but so is SGP, Demon R and Conrad. These guys in second down are really starting to close in on Steve, and interestingly, we're nearly 10 minutes into the race. What do you reckon is going to be the strategy here, Steve? One stops easily, surely?
Well, I think from practice it's looking more like a two-stop here. Like the last race, you can kind of stretch the tyres to the 25-minute mark, but there's the big risk with the fresher tyres. You're going to lose too much time to those on the two-stops. So I think a lot of drivers are expecting to try and do the two-stops.
Interesting. So it'll be interesting to see when people decide to make their stops, because on such a long circuit, all Twilight into the pits, Jimmy into the pits as well. I was going to say, with it being such a long lap, the undercut could be huge as long as you can get the tyres warmed up, because that could be a difficulty. It's one of the factors of a tyre that can last as long as these can. They can take a while to warm up sometimes. Art Pal closing in now on the back of David Harp, backs off a little bit going into the corner. Going to have to be careful. And Gary in the background, who's just dipped a wheel on the grass as they head through a cheeky little left-hander as Fluffy slots through.
Sorry, cut you off.
It's alright. You can cut me off any time apart from when I'm telling a joke.
I'll definitely cut you off then. I've heard them.
We'll see. Fluffy's got to be careful though. Now, interestingly, Fluffy was struggling with practice around this track. He was saying that, I don't know whether it's old age or just rich man syndrome, he's saying the track is too long to remember.
Yeah, I think he needs to get a new sat-nav. I think he's got difficulty knowing his way around this track from practice, from what we saw. But he seems to know where he's going now, maybe with the help of the cars in front of him. On a 3-wide through this long curve onto the back straight.
Twilight's looking to take a couple of... No, it's Gary, not Twilight.
I was going to say, I know Rich disappeared, but I've not seen Twilight appear. Yeah, there's Gary looking racy at the moment. I don't know if he's pitted already, I doubt it. But yeah, side by side with Art Pal through the fast chicane. It's scarily fast chicane now. I mean, third gear, probably doing about 130 mile an hour through that kink. Fluffy doing about 8 on the exit of the hairpin.
Yeah. You get the rear end out there. He's shaking his ass.
I think I got a bit of a nudge from Art Pal from what we saw, but yeah, it's all okay. They're both carried on without incident.
Well, that's exactly what we want to see. Incident free as Art Pal and Fluffy go side by side down the bridge. Fluffy remembers it goes right there and jumping forward now to have a look at SGP and Mitch. So SGP closing in on Mitch. Steve F1 I think has opened up the gap a little bit again. Yes, he has. SGP and Mitch have kind of dropped Demon R a little bit, so I don't know whether Demon R's had a mistake somewhere, but yeah, SGP's really on the attack now, isn't he?
Well, we saw the last race, Mitch, as we've seen in other races as well, where towards the end of the stints he starts to lose tyre performance. Does seem to work the tyres that little bit harder, so I wonder if that's starting to happen to Mitch again here. He's struggling to stay with Steve F1 and SGP's obviously now getting a run at him.
quite possibly. I mean, one of the reasons that we know that Mitch struggles a little bit on his tyres is he is using a pad at the moment, and in a way he has no feel of what the car's actually doing. I mean, some people think it's a benefit. In some respects, it's also a disadvantage because you can't feel when the tyres are losing the grip. Art Pal coming under pressure from Gary, and now Raymond. You can say who's there.
That's White Shadow.
Ah, that it is. Bunsel.
Jimmy, what?
Yeah, Jimmy up the inside, clipped the barrier though.
That was close.
Only in the DGT League will it make you make noises like you've got diarrhea.
Yeah, the 3 wide round that corner. I'm surprised there was no crash there.
I'm surprised as well. Okay, Twilight has got fresher tyres, and interestingly, I was mentioning about Mitch with not being able to feel the tyres. I mean, there's not a massive difference in lap times from the fresh tyres, say from now to worn tyres now. But the big factor, Steve, tends to be just that little bit of benefit of traction on the exit of the slower corners.
Yeah, obviously a rear-wheel drive car, so yeah, it does spin. You can easily spin those rear tyres up and get some wear on them. So yeah, towards the end of the stints, yeah, you do find that you have to just manage those rear tyres a little bit carefully, particularly at slow corners like this one as well. So yeah, that could be a big factor.
Definitely. Art Pal all over the back of Dave the Harp as they head into the hairpin, makes the move. Little bit of a contact between them, but absolutely fine there. Oh, who was that? Was that Jimmy getting big sideways? I think it was behind Art Pal, as they're now making their way to a bit of contact there as well between Dave and Art Pal. Oh, and Art Pal's lost. Oh no!
Yeah, that was close. I think somebody else out there when he was spinning, but
because of my previous comment, when I went, ooh, no, I very nearly went, I shit myself. But which, Ray, you might not realise, very nearly happened to Demon R in qualifying in this race. Anyway, so yeah.
Jimmy's on the back of Fluffy here. Get away from the shit jokes.
Literally. Although, to be fair, it wasn't a joke. Anyway, you'll have to listen to the start of Demon R's live stream. Okay, Steve F1 leading the race, has done since the start. Mitch has managed to fend off SGP. SGP's going for the pits. So 13, just under 4, Demon R in the pits as well. So SGP, he's on a 2-stop strategy easily. There's no way he's 1 stop in this. Now, interestingly though, Steve, this puts the pressure on Mitch, doesn't it? Is that Twilight in the pits again? I think it is.
Yeah, interesting after what we said about Mitch being harder on his tyres, and he's one of the ones that stayed out. So yeah, that's a bit of a surprise actually. We would have thought he would be one of the first going for new tyres, but maybe he has still got enough in those tyres to go a little bit longer. But yeah, for those two out front now, Steve F1 and Mitch, they've got to get the hammer down now to prevent SGP and those that are pitted getting the undercut.
Yeah, getting potentially 4 minutes of undercut. Oh, Gary and Jimmy. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two. And Gary may have just forced Jimmy off a little bit there. And yeah, driven off into the distance. He may be slowing down. Yes, he is. He's slowed down for him. Fair play. It is one of the things in DGT. If you do happen to put somebody off the track, yeah, slow down, wait for him, let him back through. And then... unless you've done something really stupid, you won't get a penalty. But yeah, I am just thinking, whether SGP has just gone super aggressive, he's pitted very early to try and get loads of undercut. Mitch has now got a choice: pit at the end of this lap and end up with 2 longer stints than he may actually want to do, or continue on for another lap and potentially get undercut even more. Jimmy recovering though onto the back of Dave the Harp. Oh, Dave the Harp a little bit out of shape, and Jimmy's coming past him through the long right-hander onto the back straight.
Yeah, it's fair. Mitch we've seen him in previous races, pit for his last stop quite late in the race and then use those fresh tyres to then gain positions at the end, so maybe that's what he's thinking. But in the pack here we've got Fluffy, Jimmy and now Dave the Harp looking to try and go up the inside. It's now 3 wide and they've all got through quite safely, so yeah, nice to see them all giving each other space and all carrying on, pointing in the direction. Interesting,
just to let you know that Steve F1 and Mitch are just getting off the bridge now, so they've got a bit of a gap to Conrad, who's in 3rd, but I don't think they've got that much of a gap to SGP. Fluffy coming under pressure though over the bridge from Jimmy and Twilight. Oh, Davey, where's he going? I think that may have been a bit of evasive there. Where's he gone? He's disappeared. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, looks like
Who's
so. Just
returning
maybe.
to sender?
You can't. You have to. Come on. You could have at least said. You could have gone. Well, I was going to say return to orbital sander. Okay, Mitch into the pits.
Mitch in the pits.
Yeah, so he's had to react. You know, I find it interesting. Mitch is an interesting name, I find, because it's not that common a name, is it? Really?
No, it's not.
And it's a lot. It's a bit.
Conrad was in the pits as well, though,
Yes, Conrad has pitted. Yes, he has, because he's now behind Demon R as SGP. Okay, so Mitch has come out of the pits right in front of SGP. So SGP wasn't able to get an undercut, which means maybe he couldn't get the tyres warmed up, which could mean that Mitch is going to struggle to get his warmed up. So SGP may be able to pounce. Oh, Mitch has tagged the barrier. That'll give SGP the opportunity. He's going to try and go around the outside, which will then become the inside, and he's going for it. Yes, he is making the most of the fresh tyres straight away, but Mitch going for a
Mitch
switch
is
back.
coming back. He's coming back.
No, he's not.
Fine. He was nearly.
It was close. It was very close. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Mitch is an unusual name, isn't it? It's a bit like Lance. Lance isn't really considered a common name, but in medieval times,
I'm waiting for the punt.
there was people named Lance a lot. God, I even waited and gave you a chance to get that one. Okay, Mitch now pressuring SGP. I like you got to admire my attempt to set up the joke. Come on, side by side into the kink. But Mitch can't get it done. SGP covers him off. Oh, but that's a lad, Demon R. We saw this earlier on when Demon R tried to attack in the first lap. Couldn't get it done and come under pressure. Mitch couldn't get it done. And come under pressure from Demon R, but managed to survive just. This is a fantastic battle for second. And this is probably actually letting Steve F1 continue opening the gap, who hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, this is perfect for Steve F1. Going that extra lap while they're battling, that's just enabling them to just keep that gap what he needs to. And it's also, as you can see, bringing Demon R into the mix now as well. So the more these two battle, yeah, it's just slowing them down all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the things SGP kind of needs to battle, continue the championship on. For Mitch, if Demon R can attack SGP and get ahead, and you never know, Conrad coming into the battle, and yeah, I mean, this could be massively effective with what's going to happen in the championship. Oh, Mitch is running wide into the barrier. Is he going to get away with it? I think he may, just about.
Yeah, so easy to do that in that corner. Such a fast entry, and you can just carry that bit too much speed through the exit, and that's brave.
Inside.
Oh yeah, Steve F1 has pitted as Raymond spotted that one. He's coming out of the pits already. So SGP made the move in the final corner on Mitch. Mitch coming under pressure from Demon R now. Demon R makes the move on Mitch. So Mitch made one tiny little error there, and it's cost him 2 places.
And Steve F1's still out in front.
Yeah, looks like the gap's even bigger now. So that's really worked out for him at the front.
That it has. So these three battling has really helped Steve F1, and Mitch trying to do a bit of a switchback on Demon R. If these guys battle, this may bring Connor into the fight as well. Still side by side, just about, but no, I think Demon R's going to have to concede that one. Unless he's going to chuck it up the inside. No, he is going to concede it, and yeah, maybe he's thinking, well, if you fight too much, you're going to go backwards instead of forwards, because that little bit of a battle through those first 4 corners, and look how much of a gap SGP's pulled out of them.
Yeah, what do you do in Mitch's position here? Do you just try and get after SGP, the main title rival, or do you just focus now on just trying to get that 3rd place and consolidate and get the points on the board to get you close to that championship? I
think what you do is look at this and go, oh no! That's not what I meant to do, but that's because Dave just went off.
There he goes.
To be fair, he's done well to survive that. Oh, Arpal slides off the road. Oh no, he's going to spin into the wheel, Gary. Oh my goodness me. Gary was so lucky there. Arpal finds there's a barrier there as well. Thankfully, that one didn't come apart in a big ball of fire. Some of them will get that. Okay, 3 wide down the back straight. No, 2 wide. No, not. They're following each other. Fluffy taking an interesting line towards the fast kink. In he goes. Dave's right on him, but this could give Jimmy an opportunity. And Twilight. Oh, Fluffy dipping a wheel, and then Dave makes the move up the inside.
A wee bit of contact, but yeah, made that move up the inside. Oh, there's that.
Twilight.
White shadow in the barrier.
Yeah, it's definitely not his favourite corner, is it, that one? That's about the third time he's had a moment through there.
I have heard that he has told his crew which corner isn't his favourite, and it's turns 1 to the last. Oh, Fluffy
coming back onto the hop here. Oh, are they going to make it side by side round the corner? Oh, that was nice. Great racing there. We've got Gary and Jimmy ready to pounce.
Yeah, that they are. As they come. I've got to admit, I do love this long right-hander. It's kind of reminiscent of the long left-hander at Turkey. A tricky corner. Oh, Fluffy's a little bit out of shape. That's going to give Gary the opportunity. Jimmy there in the slipstream, and Twilight. So even though Twilight had the sort of poor bad corner at the hairpin, he's still there. He's still in the battle. He's still in the fight. And Dave Arp has spent most of his race so far in 6th place. Off where he's going for the pits. Oh, bloody hell, I think Fluffy was.
Oh, Jesus. That was the box. No, box. No.
Pit lane says no.
Pit lane's closed.
Well, if he wanted to pit, he's definitely going to have to carry on now. He's going to have to be careful as well, because if he wanted to pit because his tyres are going, then he's going to have to be careful on this particular lap. Jimmy is closing in now on the back of Twilight, as Twilight has made the move. And this is where I know last week on the commentary we were talking about when drivers got into sort of the head of the pack, they needed to try and make sure they were not pushing too hard and not making mistakes, just to open up a big enough gap so that on the big straights they're not going to come under pressure. The problem is, every time someone got into that head of the pack, errors were coming in. Steve F1 leading the way as we're 23 minutes into the race, and I tell you what, he's got a nice big healthy lead now, and if you thought I was going to say something else, then you're a bloody pervert. SGP sitting in 2nd place. We can see him in the background, still got a little bit of a gap to Mitch, and then a little less of a gap back to Demon R, and Conrad definitely closing in now on the lead quartet. Could we end up with a 5-way battle for the lead of the race? Maybe, but we've definitely got a 3-way battle for Dave the Harp slipstream.
Yeah, it's 2 separate races going on there, isn't there? The top 5 are all kind of matching each other on pace, but then you've got these crazy fellas in the pack who are, every lap side by side. And what's happening here? Jimmy's going up the inside of Gary, and all good again. Nice seeing giving each other space.
Yeah, I mean, some people might think there's kind of sort of 2 championships going on. There isn't. There is only the 1 championship, and there can only be 1 champion at the end of it. At the end of the day, that's what championships are about. For Steve F1, if you can win this race, maybe there's an opportunity, especially if Mitch finishes in 3rd, there may still be the opportunity of being able to battle for the title. And if Demon R and Conrad can catch up to Mitch as well, then that could definitely spice things up a little bit. But one thing that we do know, if we were to look at it and go, okay, so what's the differences of these front 5 and the rest? Okay, there is a little bit of just ability or amount of practice that people may have done, but also you'll see a lot less of this side by sides.
Yeah, I think
they get boring up the front. You don't want to go up the front. You want
Fluffy's found the pit lane.
He found the pit lane this time. It must have got opened back up.
But yeah, some people may think it's boring, like you said there, it's boring up at the front. Yeah, it can look that way sometimes, but it's a
I'm not very jealous because I'm moving up there.
I think it's a different type of pressure. I mean, up at the front, if we take Mitch for example, this championship, after he reacted to be some muppet saying he was a disappointment, one of the things that Mitch has done is reduce the amount of errors he makes. And that,
Called him a disappointment?
I've no idea. I don't know. I have no idea who would do such a thing. But he has reduced the amount of mistakes that he makes. And if you can do that, then you can be more consistent with your lap times. And then if you can be more consistent with your lap times, then you can start to go a little bit faster. Oh, Demon Orb, that's a mistake. That's not going to help his lap times. What a disappointment.
Yeah, it's he's disappointing. As Conrad going through, he's got the place over that mistake Demon Orb done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Demon Orb pitted, about 13? It was same time as SGP, so it was about 13 minutes ago. I think it'd be a bit too soon to pit again. What we got left? 23 minutes? Yeah, probably going to be wanting to go into the pits with 18 minutes left, do you reckon, Steve?
Yeah. I was going to say no, but yeah.
Gary turning left in a right-hander.
Yeah, I think, what are we on now? Yeah, we're half distance, so I think it's just looking like a two-stopper now. I think the other drivers will be coming in maybe in the next 10 minutes, maybe next 5-10 minutes for their second stops.
Yeah, could be. See Fluffy's choppers around again. He's obviously getting ready for him to to park up. Just how hovering over the bridge he is. Trying to mention as well though that Gary did wait for Fluffy there after collecting him with his big tank slapper through the fast kink there. Twilight has had a difficult championship in these cars. One thing I do know is that obviously in this championship, and maybe I've not had a chance to ask you, Ray, in this championship, Conrad's scratching the barrier. Demon are heading into the pits. Okay, 23 minutes. Ooh. Okay, that could be a risk. Well, it should only be like doing a one-stop stint, really. So maybe depends where he comes out. Mitch. Well, surprisingly, he's dropped off from the back of SGP. Well, I say surprisingly. Maybe it's that issue that Mitch has with the tyres, as you mentioned earlier, Steve. But I was just going to say to Ray, one of the things I think some of the drivers have noticed in this championship, with the race being 50 minutes long, in these cars, it's an absolute ball buster. It's tough.
You get sweaty and everything in these cars.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if... Well, I know, like, the admins, obviously, we're expecting it is more of an endurance race and that's what it's about, but I don't think any of us really expected just how much it'd take it out of us by the end of a race. I mean, I feel for these guys in the pack. They do not have a split second to really contemplate what's going on as Dave the Arp is into the barrier. That's going to give Fluffy the opportunity maybe to attack. So for example, Dave making that mistake there as Jimmy makes another mistake. It could simply be from that constant pressure.
Dave the Arp offers it as well. Yeah, so dirty tyres maybe for him. Gary, that was pretty close between them there, both just about got around the corner there. Just losing a bit of momentum, but yeah, all good. And now that's Twilight. Is it on the back of Fluffy? Yeah, it looks like it is. Going for the move up the inside.
If cars have got elbows, Gary's have got bigger ones than Fluffy's. Twilight may be able to make a move here, but no, Fluffy covers it off. To be fair, into that kink is not really a place to... It's not somewhere I would recommend attempting to overtake, really. Okay, once again, Steve F1 dropping a little bit into the clutches of SGP. Mitch trying to close the gap in as well. Conrad has recovered, well, not recovered, he's doing very well in 4th place. Demon Aru was pitted. He's obviously looking now to get an undercut on the cars ahead of him. The question is, will he be able to get such an undercut as Gary, Fluffy, Jimmy and David Hart make their way over the bridge?
This pack's been pretty good. They've been pretty side by side.
You've done
compact.
it, and you...
What?
This pack's been pretty good, Gary hits the wall.
Like, no, they've been racing quite well, side by side. I've been in that pack. I've been there. I've been there. I'm always there. Been a turn up, but it's quite challenging in some races, being in the pack and that. And with the 50-minute races, you do get sweaty, concentration. Your brain takes a bit of a beating as well.
That it does.
As we've got, no, it's Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy looking at Fluffy. Really.
Fluffy, Jimmy is not a Jehovah's Witness. You don't need to slam the door in his face that hard. To be fair, Jimmy attempted a lovely move into the final corner, ended up side by side down the start-finish straight. And I mean, I'm joking about Fluffy shutting the door, but it looked very, very close. I think Fluffy was just ahead, but that's really unsettled Jimmy. And now he's going to lose to Dave, Twilight, and Bunsell. We've not even mentioned Bunsell in the race yet.
Damn, where did he come from? He must be galloping through here.
Hey. Well, to be fair, Bunsell, over the last, over the course of this championship, has definitely been trying to really improve on his driving, which is one of the reasons why, in many ways, we're not really seeing much of him, because he's not doing anything that ends up with him on camera because he's punted somebody into the barrier. I mean that in the nicest way possible. Jimmy and Dave, sorry.
With Stu reports is he's not been on it much.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and that's the big thing, isn't it? That he hasn't. I mean, what was it? I think the last race there was 9 incidents reported, and not one of them was about Bunsell. Even he was shocked. But I reckon he should just report himself. I report myself from minute none to minute 50 because nobody else is. Davey are making a move on Jimmy, although Jimmy did have a big tank slapper a moment ago.
He's getting a switchback, is he? Is Dave going to cover it in left-hander here?
He's trying. A little bit of contact between the two of them, just about gives him enough room so he doesn't run into the bridge. I may have to call this, I was going to say call it the Champions Bridge, but not until Steve F1, SGP or Demon R crash into it. Can we do that as Dave struggling a little bit under braking there, trying to not hit the back of Jimmy. Bunsell closing in on him. Steve F1 heading on to the start finish straight, and SGP into the pits, and Mitch, is he going to follow him in? Yes, he does. Wise decision, I think, that from Mitch, really. Conrad follows him in as well. Okay, this is now crucial. Has Demon R been able to undercut any of them? He was behind all of them. Is he going to do it? Mitch is out ahead of him, SGP is out ahead of him, and Conrad is out behind him. So Demon R's undercut has worked for him, but he's been on his tyres for what, 7 minutes, Steve?
Yeah, exactly. To the question now is, will he go to the end on those tyres, or will he have to stop again? Because we've still got another 17 minutes to go in the race, so that's a long way to go when you've already done 7 minutes on the tyres.
And Fluffy finds the pits again. That must have been open for him this time.
Well, maybe he found the pits last time, but he couldn't find his tyres. Couldn't find his tyres. As Art Power was trying to attack Dave the Arp there. Dave the Arp getting a little bit out of shape. Art Power's going to come up with the inside of him more. Dave wagging his tail. They like doing that up in Liverpool, do they?
What, shaking the rear end?
No, shaking the tail. But interesting, yeah, I mean, Art Pal making his second race, I think, now. Oh, Bunsell's run wide. But yeah, for Art Pal's second race, and another race where he's right in the middle of the pack. Oh, no, he's not. He's into the barrier. It's into Gary. Oh. I tell you what, though. Sorry, go on, Steve. Go on, all right, go on.
You're quite right. Art Pal ended his second race, and it's pretty intimidating when you first come to DG2 and you're in this pack when it's as close as this, but you just seem to be comfortable being around those other cars and being able to give space. That's good to see.
Interesting thing as well is it's his second race in DGT, his first race on a wheel that he's got. So yeah, he's trying to do a lot all at the same time. So yeah, right in the pack. I mean, being near Fluffy, Dave, Gary, Jimmy, Twilight, it's not an easy situation to be in. And Bunsell will always make you feel welcome, as Gary's going to go 3 wide with Fluffy. Oh, who's going to survive? Gary looks like he's backed out of it a bit. He has, but that's allowed Art Pal to slide around the outside, as Dave wasn't able to make the move on Fluffy, but now they're 2x2 kind of, and Art Pal makes the move on Gary. Oh, Gary trying to get a decent exit, and Dave wagging his tail again. What a pervert.
Yeah, it was interesting.
He likes shaking that ass.
Yeah, interesting going to that chicane. Arpal got a run on the 3 cars in front of him, but he could have made it 4 wide, but he decided not to. Followed him through the corner, and then he made a place up. So yeah, that's good racecraft.
Yeah.
Fluffy on Jimmy here.
Oh, Steve
Is he going
F1.
to do it? Oh, F1's in the pits.
Yeah, I know, boring up at the front. He's done nothing. He has.
He's just been in the pits.
Oh, interesting. This is interesting though. Mitch is on the back of SGP. Conrad is on the back of Demon R, but Steve F1 has managed to pit and come out ahead again. Steve F1 is absolutely flying here. As Mitch dips a wheel, Demon R defending from Conrad. This is the difficulty for the likes of Demon R, whose tyres are older. He may not be able to have the traction to keep Conrad behind him. Going defensive, and I've got a feeling Conrad might just be able to drive around the outside of him. Oh, ever so close, but yeah, the grip on the fresher tyres for Conrad really working there as he goes around the outside and just keeps it on the road. But that's a lovely move there from Conrad.
Yeah, what's interesting looking at the lap times of all these front fives, they're all doing consistent 44s and occasionally dipping to the 43, so it just shows they're all absolutely relentless in just putting the lap times together lap after lap. So it's impressive pace from all of these front 5 drivers.
Definitely, at the moment this is obviously the championship end of the race, as Arpal and Jimmy side by side into one of the many 90-degree right-handers. Dave Yarp there as well. A little contact between Jimmy and Arpal, I think, and they're still battling as they go around the corners. And Fluffy, has he just dipped a wheel? No, Jimmy has. He's off big time. Dave Yarp's going to make the move there, and Arpal manages to get ahead as well. I thought he was going to run into a cameraman then. I wouldn't have been very, very kind, would it? But yeah, up at the championship, you never know what can happen when it comes to championships and things like that. I was hearing recently that Al Pacino's set to appear in a new blockbuster movie about a man who wins the world's knitting championship. Apparently, one movie critic has said Scarface is premiering in July.
No comment.
Oh, Dave and Arpal! I didn't really see what happened there. I just saw them both heading towards the barrier.
There was side by side, I made some contact, and it was like Dave the Hub came off worse there.
Oh dear. I was too busy laughing at my own jokes to really see what was happening there. We've still got...
At least somebody found it funny.
Oh yeah, I always do. We've got 12 minutes to go. I'm sure I can get another 3 or 4 in there. So what we got now, Fluffy, 6th place. I don't know how Fluffy has ended up in this position, to be honest with you, how much he was struggling in practice. Look at this, Steve.
I think
excuse me.
Because they're all battling in the pack, that it's just giving Fluffy the break, like Jimmy, former Gary, Arpal and Dave the Harp are all battling with each other. That it's just giving Fluffy that wee bit of fresh air that he needs.
Interestingly as well, Demon R has just pitted again, so since Conrad has passed him, he's clearly decided that, his tyres were not going to make it, do something different. Mitch is still on the back of SGP, but interestingly, Ray, Mitch is in a situation where, Arpal and Jimmy are in the pits, Mitch is in a situation where he doesn't really need to do anything here, because even if SGP finishes 1 place ahead of him, Mitch has got more than enough points going into the final race of the championship to wrap it up.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If it was myself, I'd probably just follow let SGP make a mistake or something and then try and take the place, but I'd just follow and try and keep that points gap there.
It's interesting you mentioned that you'd follow and try and make SGP make a mistake as Twilight's trying to go around the outside of Bunsell. Can't quite get it done though. This might be something you can mention on, Steve. That Mitch in the position that he is, this is going into the psychology of a driver now. If he was to just sit there and put relentless pressure on SGP and make SGP crack, that could have a bigger effect than just overtaking SGP.
Sorry, I lost zone for a second there.
Yeah.
Oh.
he's kind of asleep. Twilight off on the grass. He's cutting the grass.
I don't know. He's off big time.
He's hitting the ball.
He's found one bit of barrier that is literally going to stop you stationary. I can't believe I actually talk about something serious and proper, and Steve's not even listening.
I didn't even hear the question.
Right, okay, what I was saying was, Ray mentioned, as Gary's attacking Fluffy towards the hairpin, Ray mentioned that for Mitch, what he could, or if he was Mitch, he would follow SGP and try and make him to make mistakes. And I was saying that for Mitch, if he was to just put pressure on SGP and make him crack, that would have a bigger effect than just overtaking SGP.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is, Mitch and Steve Mitch, SGP and Steve F1, they're all driving to a similar pace, and none of them seem to be making mistakes. So to actually try and make a move would be actually quite a big risk for Mitch, given that there's no real opportunities coming his way. So he is better off just trying to put the pressure on SGP. And then, if he does then make a mistake, he could actually lose more positions as well, and then that could be more beneficial for the championship. So I think it's probably the smartest way to go for him at the moment in the position he's in.
True. Jimmy and Art Powell got very, very close there through the penultimate corner. It's a brilliant long right hand. Go on, Ray.
This is what I'm talking about. Gary got up to Fluffy, now he's back in here battling. So it's giving Fluffy that wee bit of gap when they all start battling again.
Yeah, until Fluffy realises he's found where the pit lane is. He's gonna visit it 5 times.
I think Mitch is a wee bit closer now.
You know what? I think you're right.
Look at his pace, just in a personal best of 43.2. That's a quick time. So he's definitely up the pace here.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if he's up the pace, then SGP must be trying to up it as well. I mean, for SGP, he could really do with catching Steve F1 and winning the race, and having Steve between himself and Mitch to give himself a better opportunity going into the final race of the championship. As it had stand at the moment, I think it's 15 points between them. So as it had stand at the moment, SGP would gain on Mitch by 2 points. So it'd be 13 points between them headed in the last race. So barring a disaster for Mitch, the pressure is on SGP to make something happen there. So really for Mitch, he's in a very, very comfortable position. At the moment I say that as he goes sideways around the exit of the hairpin. I've got to say it's a fascinating dynamic and a fascinating contest. And talking about contests, I'll tell you, right, there's a joke coming now, right?
I think Mitch is pushing that a wee bit harder, because even in the chicane there, he was a wee bit wide in the exit. So
really pushing.
I think he's pushing to put the pressure on, but he needs to watch that he doesn't. Up till the same corner. He doesn't want to push it too much, that he's actually compromising himself.
He's compromised himself now, though. Both himself and Jimmy went a little bit too quick. Well, I think that's a case of both of them attacked a little bit too hard into that fast kink, and then neither of them could really get the car slowed down at the hairpin, and now they're really compromised. I can't believe Ray actually cut me off when I was about to do a joke. So I'm going to get right back to it in a moment, once this action calms down.
You've got Jimmy on inside off.
Well, this is the thing, see, I know that there is no point waiting for a break in the action. There is never a break in the action in the DGT League.
Mitch is getting ever so
Short talk,
close.
Raymond. Right, talking about contests, right, there's a COVID coughing contest to take place, right? I'm guessing you've not heard about this. There's a COVID coughing. Sorry, I saw someone crash into the barrier, and for some reason I said coughing. There's a COVID coughing contest to take place between the residents of Weymouth Bay and Morecambe Bay, and the locals are saying they love a great British bake-off. You'll get that one eventually. I actually thought that was the better one of the lot of them so far.
They've the hard pressure on Jimmy there, and then they're back to Mitch here. I think he's kind of just managing the gap to the SGP at the minute. I don't think he's
Maybe he's
wanting to challenge him.
Maybe he's doing what we were saying, putting the pressure on. Because he's done another 2:43.2. So maybe that's what it is. He is just putting the pressure on SGP. Is SGP going to cope, or is he going to crack? And this is one of the things. This is what I was mentioning earlier about. Okay, some people may see this as being. This is a different type of pressure to what the guys are experiencing in the pack. Steve F1, if he makes one mistake, he doesn't win the race. If SGP makes one mistake, Mitch is past him. If Mitch makes one mistake, he's got a little bit of breathing room, and he's got a bit of a points advantage too. So Mitch is in a win-win situation kind of here, but he's able to put the pressure on SGP and Steve F1. He's making them have to drive as good as they can, because if they make an error, they're not going to be successful in this race.
Is SGP gaining on Steve F1 here? It looks a wee bit close though.
Look at SGP's pace. He's doing the low 43s as well. So yeah, even though they're not wheel to wheel, but they are in a real battle here, the three of these. SGP's putting the pressure on Steve F1, and Mitch is putting the pressure on SGP. So this is actually a flat-out battle between the three of them.
I think the interesting thing here as well is I think each of them is just out of slipstream range. So it's like if Mitch could close in a couple of tenths, maybe get the slipstream, or if SGP could, he'd get the slipstream. But they're just out of that range, and like I said, if one of them makes a tiny mistake, they will get pounced on. As Jimmy going quickly into the chicane at the end of the bridge, I've got to say that is the trickiest corner, this left-hander on the whole of this track, as Bonsall wiggling out of there. I mean, to be honest, we've only seen one car into the barrier there, I think. I honestly expected to see many more, but I guess that's where the driver's experience has come into it. They've experienced that wall in practice and over the course of the last few months many times.
Yeah, there's a barrier sort of 90 degrees to the track, isn't it, there? If you come out the corner wide, you just go straight into it. So yeah, maybe just so the practice is they've all got that awareness that they're just going to be a little bit cautious on the exit.
Just want to mention, guys, that the pack is crossing the start-finish line now, and I believe they are starting their last lap of the race. 2:20 to go. Yeah, they're starting their last lap of the race. So the leading three are still battling. Conrad sitting in fourth place at the moment. Demonar pitted 8-9 minutes ago. He's trying to close in on the back of Conrad. And in interest, Demonar's lap times there 42s and into the 43s as well. So closing in a bit on Conrad. He's going to try and put the pressure on. But again, I mean, we look at this gap here, just out of slipstream range, as Steve F1 is realising that SGP has got that little bit closer and doesn't want to give him the opportunity to get into that slipstream, because I think if he did get into the slipstream, all of a sudden that gap can come down so fast.
Yeah, I think SGP has noticeably closed in a little bit on Steve F1 that up, and I think that Steve F1's now got that bit more of awareness in his mirrors. He's closing in. He couldn't quite catch it, and he's gone around in the barriers.
That almost looked like he found the handbrake there. Oh, Conrad, he's nearly found the handbrake. Oh, he did.
I was going to let Demonor get on the back of him now.
Yeah, he did not need to be making that kind of error there. I mean, this is a situation again where, okay, Demonar's been out of the picture as Conrad trying to clean up his tyres. Yeah, Demonar pitted, he's out of the picture, 6-7 seconds behind Conrad. But when you're looking at that time gap between you and the car behind you, and it's coming down and coming down and coming down, that results in pressure building and building and building. So for these guys, they'll be looking at the sector times and it will say 0.7, 0.7, 0.7. As soon as Steve F1 sees it go 0.6, pressure builds, because they're getting close to the slipstream. The same for SGP as Jimmy manages to fend off Bonsall. Who's going to hit the barrier, is he? No, he's missed it, I think.
I was close.
Lucky boy. Leaders crossing the start-finish line. They're going to get one more lap. I think Conrad and Demonar may also get one more lap. But for these guys, this is it. This is the last lap of the race. As Art Pal run a little wide. He manages to get away with it. Jimmy though in 7th place at the moment, and somehow Fluffy still in 6th, still doesn't know where he's going, but has got an opportunity of finishing in 6th. Jimmy coming under pressure from Art Powell, but I don't think Art Powell's going to be able to do anything about it. No, he may have just tagged the back of Jimmy there. Yes, he has, and that's allowed David Hart the opportunity to slide up the inside of him. He may be able to attack Jimmy now into the final corner as they go side by side. Jimmy going defensive. That gives Dave the slipstream from Fluffy. Fluffy through the final corner. He's going to take 6th place. Is Jimmy going to be 7th? I think he is. Dave the Arp's boxed in by the looks of it. Dave the Arp and Art Pal, I think, were side by side as Twilight slowly reaching the line. That was a bit too close to call in there, but for the lead in pack now, we've got Steve F1. How close is SGP behind him? I think he's
dropped off a wee bit. Oh, Mitch is getting closer.
Yeah, I think, let's see, I can't see SGP's lap times, but Mitch's last couple of laps are into the 44s, not 43s, so the tyres definitely struggling on these last 2 laps. But once again, it looks like Steve F1 has got just enough of a gap to stay ahead of SGP. SGP can't close in under the slipstream. Steve F1 really pushing through the chicane, and so is SGP. And Mitch there as well. Mitch is really pushing. Actually, SGP has closed up heading into the hairpin.
Yeah, like he closed up on Steve F1 there and managed to get a wee bit of a more gap on Mitch there.
Well, Conrad nearly spun it on this corner previous lap. He's struggling again. His tyres are hurting. Demonar's got an opportunity. He's going to go for it. No, he's not. I thought he may have actually gone for it there. Or try around the outside. You don't want to be doing that because there's a barrier there, my friend. Steve F1 still leading the way at the moment ahead of SGP and Mitch. Demonar is a little closer to Conrad than the front 3 are to each other. We will keep an eye on the track map for that. Conrad going defensive. And I mean, this really, I suppose, is just a race for pride at the moment for Conrad and Demonar as Steve F1 through the penultimate corner. The gap has definitely come down, but with only 1 corner to go, I think Steve F1 is going to be safe, unless he's going to, I can't see him binning it in the final corner. You imagine doing that after 52 minutes? Oh, that hurts.
Break your heart.
Straight into the pit wall, bosh. Steve F1 is going to take the victory. Sanquo. To be fair, they're all weaving there, but Demonar is going to go for a dive bomb into the final corner. No, he's not. Conrad covers him off. Demonar's all over the curb. Conrad, I think, is going to manage to hold on to that 4th place. What a battle. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. Demonar giving it everything he could. But yeah, it's interesting though that they were weaving over the finish line there. I mean, weaving over the finish line, I kind of see as a happy end to a race. Like driving across the finish line as far away from the pit wall as you can is a finish of disgust. So I think for those 3 at the front, although not a lot happened, they know what kind of race they've just had. And my commentators fall silent.
Yeah, I think, delight at the front. I think for Steve F1, he led the whole way under huge pressure. So I think that's just delight at the end that he's managed to lead it from start to finish and get the win. So yeah, it's always when they're weaving across the lines a sign they've had a good race and not a bad one.
Yes, definitely. I mean, Steve F1 is flawless in that race today. Got to say congratulations to him on the victory there. SGP looked like he was giving it everything he could. And Mitch, I mean, the pressure between those 3, I mean, like I said, we said it can look boring, but for those 3 drivers, I can guarantee you it was anything but boring. That's one of those that once the race is finished, yeah, they're all buzzing about that one. I mean, that's the kind of race as well where if you're Mitch and you finish 3rd, you don't mind that because you've just had pretty much a perfect race and you've been beaten by 2 people that have had a perfect race. You can't knock that. I agree with you. Blah, blah, blah. Well, you can knock it, but really you can't. It's one of those where if you've given it everything you've got and you haven't really made any mistakes and you haven't won the race, then it's one of those that you can be happy about. I mean, for Conrad and Demonar, they had a few more excursions and that's why they ended up a little bit further down, but those 2 still had an interesting battle. And for the pack, I still have no idea how Fluffy ended up finishing in 6th for 35 minutes of that race. He didn't know where the track went. So yeah.
You didn't know where the pit lane was.
Exactly. But no, I mean, to be fair, it's never easy in the pack, and around that track, as I'm sure you could attest, Steve, that's a track where it's easy to go off and dip wheels on the grass on your own, let alone when you're side by side, two in front, two behind.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's some corners where you've really got to commit, like the chicane, and you just only have to get the line slightly wrong and you're dipping wheels on the grass. Plus it's obviously a long lap as well, so a lot of corners to kind of remember. So yeah, it's such a easy track to make a mistake, and that's what was so impressive from those front five today. They were just absolutely relentless in the pace throughout that race, and not really a huge amount of mistakes from any of them. So that was at the proper race at the front, even though there wasn't a lot of side by side. So yeah, there's a good display from all five of them.
Yep. And it'll be interesting to see what happens at the next race, the last race of the championship at Cirque de la Sarthe, Le Mans, with the chicanes, the track that these cars were made for. The championship will be decided there, because with the result today, I can't see any way that SGP or Mitch have got penalties. So that gap, I think, will be down to 13 points and will continue on to be dealt with in the final race, and I have absolutely no idea what could happen there. I mean, we could have another race like this today where Mitch and SGP are sort of neck and neck, flawless all the way through, and the championship was basically decided in the earlier stages of the season. But there's only one way to find out, and that is to get over to that track next week and see what happens when we're on that track, because it's a longer circuit than the one we've just been round, but it's longer in lap time as well, but it is so much faster. I mean, possibly the possibility of hitting over 200 mile an hour in a few places. Now I think we got close to that at Monza, didn't we? I think, but yeah, I think at Le Mans will be a bit quicker.
I can't remember. That's a long time ago.
That is true. Okay, in a moment we'll find out if there were any reports, any penalties, and a confirmation of the race result. Although there is one collision that I need to comment about. A Cadbury's lorry has collided with a Lego truck on a motorway, and the police have said the road is chock-a-block.
God's sake. That's one of the... Do you get that from the person in the cupboard?
The person in the cupboard. Oh, God. Yeah. My hostage gives me these dodgy jokes. Give me a joke or I don't feed you. I've got another one, but I'm not going to use that. I'll save that one for next week. It's not as good as the others. Right, okay, I'm going to say Steve, Ray, thank you very much for joining us on the commentary today.
You're welcome.
Hey, get back in that cupboard. Right, let's have a look at the confirmed race result and what that's done to the championship standards. Here we go then, confirmation of the race result, and it is a victory for Steve F1 and 20 points. That'll make it interesting in the championship standings. SGP finished in second place with Mitch in the third. Conrad finished in fourth place ahead of Demon R in fifth. Fluffy Planet somehow managed to finish in sixth place, scoring 10 points, with Jimmy in seventh. And Dave the Harp this time in eighth, bagging 8 points. When I say bagging 8 points, 3 of those are going to be taken off him, unfortunately, for an incident that was reported. Details of that will be on the Facebook page. In ninth place, let's see, who was it? It was Art Pal, so it's 7 points for him, and he finished just ahead of Bunsell, who finished just ahead of Formula Gary. So 10th, 11th for those. Twilight finishes in 12th, a tough race for him here today. 4 points in the bag for him. And for Rich Blues, unfortunately with that disconnection, doesn't score any points. He'll be glad though that his car wouldn't have had any effect too much on anyone during that race, apart from maybe Raymond on commentary, who had no idea where he'd gone. An interesting race result though, with potentially a very interesting effect on the championship standings. Mitch is still leading the way on 139 points, but it's now only a 13-point gap to SGP. Steve F1 though has got himself in the mix a little bit here. He's 16 points behind Mitch, so if Mitch has a mare, then it's between SGP and Steve F1. If Mitch doesn't have a mare, he's going to be the champion. Top 8 there, yep, few gaps between them. In P9 though, Jason ahead of a very tight gaggle of cars. Rich Blues in 10th on 37 points, Bunsell in 11th on 36, Gary on 34, Jimmy on 33. Tight battle between those guys. Tyler still 14th on 18 points, SRI 13 points, Art Pal up to 8 now, and Hayes still on the -4 with not being able to race today. So yeah, so the championship, although positions haven't really changed about much, the pressure and the connotations have. All Mitch needs to do is basically score 7 points and he's the champion. But well, I mean 7 points and he's the champion. But I think he'll probably want to do it with a win, really. I mean, if he finishes a race like he has done today, right behind SGP and Steve F1, it doesn't matter what those guys do, he's the champion. So it is in his hands, and he'll probably be glad that he's traded in the PS4 with his noisy fan at the moment, because the last thing he would want is a disconnection because of a PlayStation failure. It's not the way you'd want a championship to end. So the title will be decided at the next race. We can only hope that it is done just simply, fairly and cleanly on the track, and I'm sure it will be. So yeah, let's find out what is going to happen. The next race is at Le Mans, Cirque de la Sarthe with the chicanes. It's a great track. In this car, it's a great car to drive around that track. We're going to have slipstreams, bump drafts, crashes, tears. We're going to have knackered drivers after 50 minutes around that track, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end. Okay, so good luck everybody for next week. You know what to do if you want to check out what happens. Come and join us here at the DGT League. Have a good one. We'll see you all again soon.